I'm here, and I'm going to kick this way, right? What about to the face? Hi everyone, Carl van Roon here at Van Roon Martial Arts. Today I'm going to be taking you through one of the most basic kicks in martial arts that beginners often start with, which is the front snap kick. So you're kicking out in front of you, you're generally keeping your shoulders square this way, and you're kicking with the ball of your foot. Out to the side, it would be like this. In Korean martial arts like ITF Taekwon-Do, for example, they sometimes call that an 앞차기, or in its longer name, front snap kick, 앞차부수기. In Korean martial arts and Japanese martial arts, they tend to kick with the ball of the foot. In Korean, that's 앞꿈치, and in Japanese, they call it chusoku when they do a前蹴り, or front kick. Yeah, so look, we're going to explore this basic kick, and I'll give you a few different ways to throw it depending on the situation. I'll give you some advice as to how to set it up, get the distancing right, and maximize both the power and the recovery in this technique. You know, one of the really exciting things about this front snap kick is we've seen like a resurgence in its use in things like mixed martial arts. So, you know, over the last 10 years, there have been a lot of fights that have been stopped with front snap kicks, particularly under the chin or even to the solar plexus. It's actually a really versatile kick, and even though it's kind of like the poor cousin to more exciting spinning and high kicks, the front snap kick is definitely an effective kick, both for competition sparring, but also for self-defense. So let's get stuck into it. Join me now, and let's get practicing the front snap kick. All right, so let's just look at the basic front snap kick to start with. How do we set it up? How would we execute it? In a traditional sense, like for example in ITF Taekwondo, you'd be standing in a walking stance this way. You might be in a walking ready stance, which is with my hands down side of my body here. My front leg is a little bent, and the back leg is straight. My weight is about 50-50, so I've got about 50-50 weight on each leg, and I might be snapping through like this. Sometimes people ask me, what's the point in me snapping my knee like that? Why would I snap rather than push or teep, as you sometimes see in kickboxing or in Muay Thai? Part of the reason why I think it's useful to snap your knee is to quickly recover back, so your leg can't be grabbed or pulled or lead to a takedown for your opponent. Another reason is it adds like a bit more velocity to the kick, so it's more like of a shocking or a snapping sort of force. So let's look at that front snap kick. I'm not going to throw it in a formal or sort of traditional sort of style. I'm going to do it in a more natural sparring or combative style. But I'm just going to start slowly, and I'm going to be hitting with the ball of the foot. How do we learn how to form the ball of the foot? Well, my advice would be to come up on your tippy toes this way and stand side on. It's almost like I'm wearing high heels. Not that I know, but yeah, look, it's like wearing high heels. You can see my heels are off the ground, and I've concentrated the force into the ball of my foot. So if you think about it, if I kick the person with the whole underside of my foot, the whole flat, it's going to spread that force out like a break fall. If I point the ball of my foot this way, it's going to concentrate that force onto a similar sized area as my fist. So that's that's a key to General Choi Hong-hee's theory of power, which was concentration of force onto the correct attacking tool. And in this case, we're using 앞꿈치, which is the ball of the foot. Now you'll notice when I chamber, I'm going to bring my heel towards my butt. I don't want to scoot up like this so the force is driving up. I want to take my heel towards my butt and then snap out. You can hear my dobok snap. Dobok is the Korean word for dogi, which is the Japanese word for uniform. So let's have a look at that again. Snapping my knee. Or to the other side. So if I was going to do that on Bob now, just as a basic target, how might I do it? If I was throwing it from, let's say, the rear leg, because the rear leg's probably a bit easier to get momentum, I'd have this left leg back. Maybe I've got my hands up. If it's like a sparring situation, I might have my fists up here in a sort of a modified guarding block. I might be a bit more square. I call that fighting stance A. Or I might be a bit more side on if I want to get a bit of reach off my front hand. Now, in terms of delivering the kick, I'm going to come through from the rear leg, and for a basic front snap kick, I'm going to keep my hips and my shoulders square. Okay? I'm going to lift my heel towards my butt. Sort of similar to the way that I would do a quad stretch, except my knee is pointing towards a target. That's a really good basic cue if you're just starting off learning the front snap kick, is basically point your knee towards the target. So if I wanted to kick Bob towards the solar plexus, I'll point my knee towards his solar plexus. If I want to kick him to the chin, I'll point my knee under his chin. If I wanted to kick to the knee or the groin, I point my knee down. So let's just start slowly and just place that kick there now. I'm going to lift that knee, drive through the center, and place it on the solar plexus. Place it on the solar plexus. A little bit quicker now. You notice I rechamber my knee back to me. And again. Let's try the right leg. I've got to lift my knee up, bring my heel to my butt, and then I'm just going to use a small amount of hip extension to make sure my kick doesn't swing up. That's a common problem, when the kick swings up like this. And that would be effective if you're kicking to the groin, for example, coming up underneath the target, but kicking forward against something, that's quite difficult. So let's have a look again. I bring my knee up, and then I extend forward, ball the foot, come back in, and down. I keep my hips square this way. And again, kicking through the center with the ball of the foot. Now, it's a bit of a matter of personal preference whether you want to keep your hips square or whether you want to rotate. In ITF Taekwondo, we call the difference between kicking from square, that's a front snap kick, and we call a kick where we rotate the hips or almost kick out to the side of our body, a side front snap kick. So if I was kicking here, this is a side front snap kick. You notice my hip is extended towards the target. Vice versa, the side front snap kick. If my hips are square this way, that's a front snap kick. Okay, just a plain old front snap kick. What's the difference? What's the use in each? Front snap kick can be thrown from a closer range. So if I'm with Bob again, and I'm standing this way, let's say I've got my hand out towards his chin, and he's advancing towards me. Let's say that I just want to kick, I'm going to be a little bit nasty. Let's say I want to kick towards his groin. I might use the ball of my foot, or I might use my instep. Let's say I use the ball of foot, okay? And I'm just advising this person in a self-defense situation to keep a bit of space. Then I might keep my hips square, so it's very hard to see that coming, right? I don't need to extend my hip, because my hip would give me more reach, yeah? Maybe I'm already in the range where we're just out of hand range. So I'm kicking with the ball of foot. On the other hand, if I wanted more extension, kicking a plain front snap kick wouldn't reach. So I might extend my hips. Let's say I was going for the solar plexus. Then by pushing my hip forward a little bit, my distance hasn't changed on my supporting foot, but I can travel further. I can travel further on that front snap kick. So what I would advise you to do is experiment with both different types of front snap kick and side front snap kick. And some key pointers are to try to minimize movement in your upper body, to try to make sure that you use a full range of motion, or ROM, range of motion. That would be bringing your heel towards your butt before you kick out. And finally, make sure that you practice in a slow motion setting as well, just to get the feeling of it. So for example, if I come a little closer to the camera and I kick a front snap kick out on this angle, to start to get the feeling, I might begin this way. I bring my knee up towards my chest rather than bring my chest down towards my knee. Then I'll kick out, hold the ball of the foot out straight, come back in and down. A lot of people when they first start, they're going to try to compensate rather than bringing their leg up towards their body using their hip flexor, which is a series of, there's a major one called psoas major that runs through the back of the abdominal cavity, through here, that lifts your leg this way. Rather than using that hip flexor, they're going to try to compensate by using their rectus abdominis, which is basically your abs. They're going to try to pull themselves down this way, and they're going to lift this way. Instead, we want to stay tall, and we want to lift our leg towards the upper body as a home base, a stationary, balanced base. So I'm here, and I'm going to kick this way, right? I'm not going to compensate by coming down. Again, I might just start slow. Slow motion kicking, out, and back down. Good. With the other leg, slow motion kicking, coming up, keeping the back straight, extend, ball of foot, and back down. Some of you might have trouble getting the ball of foot to come back. What would I recommend? Let me show you. When you first start, you're going to find that if you try to bring the ball of foot back, you'll do this. You'll pull your whole ankle back, right? So what's a trick to get things going? What I would suggest is point your toes like a ballerina and then simply pull your toes back without bending your ankle back. So practice this with me. Lift your foot up, point your toes, and then just bring your toes back. That's the ball of the foot. Let's try it on the other leg. Pointing the toes this way, flexing the ankle down, then just bring the toes back. That's the ball of the foot. So what are the variations of front snap kick you throw? What about a skipping front snap kick? Something like this. Where you skip forward with your back leg in a pendulum type motion and come back. Let's watch again. Put it the other leg. What about to the face? What about a flying front snap kick? What about under the chin? Folks, thank you very much for tuning in to today's video on front snap kick. I really enjoyed putting it together for you guys. If you have any feedback, do let us know by commenting down below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get more Van Roon martial arts content. And remember, be a martial artist, not a partial artist. See you soon.